What's going on, y'all? Here, a partial delay here, but we are live. Greg said it live here. Boy, oh boy. Ooh, we got a lot going on. Appreciate y'all coming through here. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe. Who's been with me all week? I know we did a show. Seems like 2 weeks in one. I know we did a double show in B Watts. And what's going on here with this. But like I said, we had a lot going on, a lot of activity, and I guess I won't be live on this. They started changing stuff on Twitter and Facebook. Guess we'll just be live on YouTube today. Anywho, Colorado has a lot going on. Everybody has a lot going on, but we got some great news. If y'all been following, we've been talking about the signs of the time. We've been talking about, the thing with Juju popped up last week. All of a sudden, they moving his rank. They dropping him. He's nobody all of a sudden. And like I said, most of those insiders were Auburn guys. A lot of those insider guys are Auburn guys. I can't say most, but at the end of the day, we look up and boom, we got Farrakhan, Cornell X, Farrakhan, whatever you want to call him. He's in the building. Can't say we didn't see it coming, but look at the teams he chose over the Texas, A&M, Alabama. Look at the quality of player, not just the guys Coach Prime know, but look at the quality of players. Look at the linemen. Now we're down to probably a couple guys who all came on that weekend. Juju being one of them. You see what's happening to Juju. This guy done pretty much said he's not coming unless somebody like Juju is coming. He ain't committing unless he know Juju coming. This guy already said he like to know who's going to be there. Shador gone. So the fact that he committed, he know what's coming. He know that a quarterback is coming because else he wasn't committing. He already verbalized that. He was real close with Juju. All these guys, these young guys, that most of them at this point, except one lineman left, and Juju, have decided to come to Colorado. Now, what does it mean when you get a clean sweep of that caliber of player? We got some players reconsidering that were looking last year. So I'm saying, maybe I will look. These 2025 guys. We had a pretty solid 2024 as far as 4 stars and 5 stars. We do have us headed in the right direction. That's right. And I've already told you, it's a pretty much done deal. They when you look at people and how they do things a certain way. Some people always want to cover up how certain people do things. I call it evil because it's underhand, it's unnecessary. And when they do certain stuff to certain people, oh, it's okay. Oh, they deserve it. Oh, they water it down. But when it's done an ounce to the side that they agree with, it's a big deal. Oh, and you lie and you just over-exaggerate everything. Good and doggone well is the stuff that was going on against Coach Prime, was going on against your favorite team or coach, which we haven't seen. Just name it. Nick Saban has never been just railroaded because he's part of the system. He's the prototype, right, of how it should be done, right? Everybody look up to this guy. You don't see nothing like this going on. I heard a guy say that this only happens to schools outside of SEC, which is a dozen teams, in Ohio State. I don't know how he put that together, but that's what he said. And it's like, as far as dropping the ratings, they say having other sports. But my thing is, pretty much everybody who go for Colorado gets it. You full of crap. If you tell me that's normal, when every top-rated player that comes to Colorado gets attacked. Every top-rated player, especially 5-star, loses. They start losing their rankings, their ratings, everything. They just start as soon as they look like or they commit Colorado. This is the earliest I've seen as far as Juju. This is how I know they just don't lost their pick of mine. Because they didn't even wait till he commit to Colorado to start messing around. They could have waited because he still got another year of school. They want to sock it to him before he even do it. So they clearly know. Farrakhan is showing you, the other people, all these people who have signed over this last month, showing you where the trend is going. So it's gonna come a point, that cute stuff that man told y'all last fall. Get me while you can. You thought he was playing. Since when you don't respect the man who don't did nothing but what he said? He don't accomplish everything in his life, and you want to play with him. I said that. He meant it. A lot of these guys, it's like sometimes when you go after certain people who taking the bullets, literally, like they're taking the shots. Sometimes when you go after them, you only gonna make the people who support them go harder, because they was just crucifying, for lack of better terms, poor word, Coach Prime all season long. It was ha, poke the bear, ha, he lose, ha. He was barely losing. We went over that. Go check out my last video from Friday. I did a miniature breakdown. I had to go deep into the stats, but how the games, how Colorado barely lost. That was the video. And you look at the fact that Colorado barely lost them last 4 or 5 games outside of Washington State. We know that they gave away Stanford. We know that they was in the game. UCLA was a weird game. That throw shallow eye was weird. Colorado was struggling off, but it was a close game. Then we seen what happened in that Oregon State, the Arizona. Close games, right? And when you look at it, we know that what he said was true. All the way back against when they when they played USC and they had all the game day and all of that there. He said, I'm only about 7-8 dogs away. He ha ha he. But it wasn't too much he ha ha then, because at that point he was undefeated. At that point, it may have lost one game. And it was very early on. And he was already telling you, I'm only 7-8 dogs away. Now, we know he added more than that on one side of the ball. Matter of fact, you can easily double that for people who actually know football and know the team. You can easily double that he added that on both sides of the ball. You want to be silly, say, you'll see. The Porter rankings even proved that he added at least one top linebacker, at least one top receiver. Top receiving linebacker just happen to be brothers. At least one top lineman. He actually had a couple top linemen in the Porter. He added top players in pretty much every area except running back. He added Hodge, top cornerback, defensive back. He added a couple top defensive linemen, right? So it wasn't a one-sided thing. He meticulously, all the way through the last Porter cycle, added multiple pieces that could meet that qualification of a dog, from not just them potential-wise, but what they have already done at their prior school. We've already seen it. So realistically, you playing around with Colorado, talking about last year, and even the last year team gave y'all heart palpitations. With the back door, barn door open against Shador's back, he was breathing down their neck. See, nobody talking about that. Let's be real. We're not talking about coulda, shoulda, woulda. You talking really, really, really bold about last year Colorado when they gave you heart. They gave you a heart attack every time. When they was either ahead or they was running you down. USC, they was running them down. Oregon, they just blew them away. And not Oregon, Stanford. Stanford came back, but even their comeback was suspect. The game was pretty much over. It took some calls, Travis Hunter call, he pushing and shoving. They did whatever they had to do to get them boys back in there. That's what I'm saying. So you got to be very, very, very careful with a team like Colorado. Last year, Colorado. This year, Colorado, I don't really think that you really, really want to play that game. They haven't played a game. Yes. They haven't played a game. But you got to be dumb as a sack of rocks, for lack of better terms. If you're going to tell me they're not better, when you know for a fact they added better defensive linemen, for a fact they added better offensive linemen. For a fact that they added better linebackers. And yet, you was barely beating them with all those holes in them. Appreciate it. Appreciate that, Lane. All those holes in their offense, they still was in every game. -2. All those holes in their defense, and they still was barely beat by a touchdown field goal. Team struggle. Y'all not comprehend? Do I got to do hand sign language? Like, that ain't the Lord. I'm just saying, maybe you're not hearing me. Maybe I need to learn sign language, like get Jimmy Horn and Wes to get them on here do some sign language. What I'm saying is, if you struggle with a lesser version of this team, with clear deficits, clear issues and challenges, clear. Everybody's so clear on it, they talking about it. Everybody's so clear on it, they talking about, oh, you put a hole in your own argument. Do you know how foolish you sound? If they were that weak, you should have been blowing them away. You should have been blowing them away when all they linemen sucked. I mean, it was no real strong linemen. It was some decent ones, but it was no real strong linemen. What's going on, Sweat Boy? And yet, you got some linemen that's coming in that got some weight behind their name. Let's be real. Not just potential. Benson, he has some weight behind his name. I don't know how you gonna play with him and don't have him with all conference honors. But he gonna show you. He gonna maul a few people. Shout out to Benson and his mom. We did an interview with B. Watts a couple weeks ago. I think they're gonna be on again tonight. B. Watts and Rob the Man. Y'all might want to check that out. The reality is this. There was no Benson on our line last year, physically or mentally. The closest thing to Benson we had was Washington. And you see what Washington did when Bentley showed up. Deuces. He didn't say, hey, I'm going to stay with him. I'm going to go against him. The other side over there, we ain't even talk about team, like basketball play. Our guards, lightweight, 270 soaking wet, on skates. We had no guard play last year. They got rid of Tyler Brown right before the season. They was already scheming. They already was scheming. Then they let everybody back and then wait to the end of the season and say, you can come back now for the bowl game. And then they turn around and change the rules the very next season. Before the very next season. Oh, everybody can play. We're not holding nobody back. You held that man back. Tyler Brown himself could have made a difference in a couple games. Easy. You see. Defensive lineman was getting clear, untouched shots. Well, you know, we saw, we looked at it. We looked at the infamous twerk picture. We looked at that same game. I seen it happen on the other side. What's going on, Elijah? On the other side, on the right side, we saw the pitch on the left side. I saw it on the right side where the guard and the tackle facing each other and the guy running straight through the middle. And now what unblocked? 2 linemen, 1 man, and neither one of them touched him. That same game. So it wasn't just the left side. Both sides of the line was, you can call it what it is. They intentionally let that man get hit. And you notice the very next week, Sean Lowell had been pushed, got demoted. So don't think that this man ain't know what was going on. And we already know that it was a schism and ism and who listened to who and who following who thing. Who really the man. You know, sometimes assistant coaches can be that way. Sometimes they think they know better, but they ain't showing better. It's amazing when you be like, I'm better than you, but you ain't even doing your job. You're going to take over the defense with your offense. Your offense guy, and y'all ain't doing that, or vice versa. That's when you know you got some raggedy mess. Sean Lewis, whatever he had going on, his offense production went through the flow. Through the flow. You know, when you let's look at, again, go back and look at my last video. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. Look at my last video. I talked about the point production, and it was an obvious difference in that last part of the season. They didn't score what they need to score in UCLA, but they weren't blocking either. They didn't score what they need to score in the Arizona game. Even in the beginning of the season, with so-called great Nebraska, they were putting up 30-plus points. UCLA was considered a decent defense at that point of the season. They was. We got these top defense linemen. I can't even judge how top they was because the line wasn't even blocking them. They weren't even running. They literally let them through that in full speed. They weren't even trying to block them. Not really. Or maybe sometime, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. We got people coming back now because they seeing us the writing on the wall. Because you got to think about it. A lot of people follow. And a few people pioneer. Jordan Seaton is a pioneer. Juju is a pioneer. Don't think he ain't coming his way. This man want to make his own legacy. He done said it 100 times. Who all about legacy but Coach Prime? Juju don't want to go behind Cam Newton over there at Auburn. He don't want to go behind Caleb Williams at USC. The people Landhard and all them. He wants to build something in his name. That man got the ability for 4 years to be the man. The man. In the conference that he can dominate every year, go to playoff. Every year. He ain't over there. See, they're gonna be scratching and clawing over there trying to win the SEC. It ain't cute. I don't know why Texas and Oklahoma went over there. I don't say it 100 times. I don't know why. Well, they came out. They came together. They left together. And that makes sense. Oh, boy was the hit man. He was doing the dirty work for his boy. Y'all just go ahead and let Shador get hit. And the man, I believe for certain that Shador got hurt, and that's when I believe he got hurt. That's when I believe that was the game, because you got to look at after that. He played in Oregon State. He was trying to get around. By Arizona, he was toast. I believe that injury happened. I bet even know. I bet they was starting to shoot him up at that point. He couldn't practice and all that. That started at UCLA. You got to think about UCLA. UCLA was after the break. This was after they come off a break. After Stanford. And you had Arizona State, and then you had a break. You had Stanford. You said they had time to get themselves together. They look worse at UCLA. Though people say they look worse, but we look at the video, they weren't even trying to block. So if you really gonna look at it for what it is. UCLA was the defining point of that season. It was the defining point for that line. It was the defining point for Sean Lewis, and it was the defining point for Shador's health. Shador's health was toast at that point. And I think it was that point that pretty much messed them up for their postseason abilities, because they had just lost to Stanford. They needed that game. That was a gimme game. It would have put them in the seat at that point. Let's see. It was about 3-2. No. They had 3-2 because they lost to USC and Oregon. And they had won. They were 4-2 at that point because they won their first 3. Then they beat Arizona State. They were going into Stanford. They would have been 5-2 because of that good start they had. They would have been 5-2. They were only needed 2 more wins. What people kept talking about, get those 2 wins. They would have only had to beat technically 2 out of the remaining games. They couldn't risk that. They had to be UCLA, Oregon State, Arizona, Washington State, or Utah at that point. At that point, they had 5 games. They would have only needed 2. It would have been a lot less pressure on them if they had a beat. And also, like I said in my video, it would have been a whole different season if they had to beat USC. They really would have had no pressure. They really came back on USC. Kamani got the interception late in the game. They would have been inside of the 50. They had all the momentum. USC ain't moved the ball for a quarter and a half at that point. And Colorado was kind of like how Stanford did. Except it wasn't busted plays and just wide. It was just they had exposed them. They had figured them out. The defense had figured them out. Started getting pressure. The offense had started moving the ball. Kamani had made a big play, made an interception on the sideline when Caleb threw that ball up, and they said he was out of bounds. His man stood on the sideline about 2-3 seconds, then went out of bounds, and they say he had no possession of the ball. If that play had happened, that would have changed the game. If they had won that game, I guarantee they would have beat Stanford. That momentum and that positivity, because it started getting negative. You just lost, you know. They would, you know, their momentum would have been on their side. That's what I'm telling you. That would have changed their season. So the referees helped with that game. Let's hope that's true. One thing he learned was to be a better man. I don't know. I don't know. It's his turn now for somebody to do him like that. Obviously, a lot of wrongdoing was going on this. Yeah, I mean, that was their year to learn. That was their year. That was their year to learn. That was their year of suffering. That was their year of planting the seed. And it's going to pay off this year because the team is going to be a lot more unified. Not only is the team going to be a lot more unified. How you doing, Felix? Is that Felix? What's going on, Nay? It's good to see my people in here, always here supporting. Not those good old Coach Prime. He went and got all his boys. Said, y'all can be analysts, y'all can be grad assistant, y'all can be whatever y'all want to be, but y'all can surround me. I already got my other guys, so I know got my back. We dog Coach Hart out, but Coach Hart ain't finna stab him in the back. I can say that. You said, what about them linebackers? One thing for sure, Coach Hart ain't finna do. Coach Hart ain't finna bite the hand that feed him. Coach Hart know what his money ticket is. Coach Hart know if I do well, I can have a job one day as a head coach. He want to be a head coach one day. He was a head coach in high school. Coach Prime was the coordinator up under Hart when they left before he went to Jackson State. Those people don't know he was a head coach. He was just a head coach in high school. He wants to be a head coach at the college level. He know if he do well with Coach Prime, especially at this point, he can at the very least he'll be down there at the FCS level as a head coach. So he's at the high point. He ain't shooting up. He's shooting down at this point. So you look at the fact he got all his boys that he can trust hard. He got Mathis. He know Danzy gonna. He just put Danzy on the map. You know Danzy not gonna shoot him in the back. So he brought Sap. He brought his boys over there, analysts. We just see our boy Lewis just get that promotion. We waiting. What's Sal at? Coach Sal been out. I guess he had to finish off his contract, and boom. Now this guy here got him a position. Got NFL D-line coach experience combined with Coach Sapp. Now let's just take an intermission right here. Because I'm finna, this is what I do. Ray Dell wasn't able to bring him in this country. Not his year. He proved that. See exactly what. Yeah, he tried to do it the good old way, because they wanted them guys. They wanted that history. They didn't want to bring all non-history. So they brought Sean Lewis. He was the hot thing. And he brought our boy Charles Kelly, with all the names and accolades, because it had to look like a FBS team. We bring a head coach with no FBS experience, barely any coaching experience, like they love to say. So they had to do some of the good old boy stuff. The problem is good old boy don't clash with the new boy. But as I was saying, you just put Lewis, just got Sapp. You can call Sapp whatever title you want. He is co-coaching that D-line. You can call it assistant. You can call it what you want. They say him and Danzy, Lewis getting along very well. So what we're looking at, guys, is probably one of the most underrated D-lines you're going to see this year. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. For all the people who want to talk, see, I'm not ESPN. I'm not trying to save face. I don't have a problem being wrong. I don't live off my ego, but I'm going to tell y'all something about truth. I'm going to say what everybody want to say. And I'm going to say it. Greg said it. Coach Prime probably has built one of the most dangerous defensive line, most underrated, the underdogs. Danzy come from the FCS, HBCU SWAC. Then you look at Sap coming in, ain't got no coaching experience, but hungry. He wanted to pass on what he know. Got Lewis coming in. He got some experience. He on this D line, but this is his shot to be that man on the D line at college level, right? And he can do it his way. And he gets along with his other coaches. They boys. They're not worried about who gonna undercut them, who trying to get the credit. They're not worried about who getting the credit. You see, that's what we're dealing with. We got a team this year that don't care about no credit. And you know why they don't care? Y'all disrespected them so bad last year. You disrespected them so bad last year that at this point, they just want to win. And they want to win by any means necessary. They don't care who get the credit. They don't care who name is on a billboard from the recruiting team all the way down to the offensive line, the defense. I believe when you really look at it, I believe the defense is going to be the same way as a whole. We bringing in a coordinator with no experience. He just want to win. He don't, because if he don't win, everybody gonna be like, oh, see, you brought this rookie in up. So everybody depend on each other. Like, hey, we got to do this for all our sake. Nobody is really the man. Everybody is chipping in together, and that is a dangerous team, a no-name team. And you know what make it even more dangerous? Y'all chose to disrespect that D-line. Y'all chose to disrespect that secondary. Y'all chose to disrespect that linebacker core. So what that simply means now at this point is, you know what? You just made Colorado the most dangerous defense out there. Because one, you underestimate them, and two, they got too much to prove. Ain't nothing like somebody who got something to prove. Man, y'all just don't realize. That coaching staff got something to prove. Y'all did that. Y'all could have amped up Coach Sapp and make him divide and say, oh, Coach Sapp don't care. Danzy don't care. Nobody cares. That's a dangerous team, man. Look, this team don't care, man. What's going on? What's going on, Jeremiah? Look, everybody been disrespected. Exposing it all and bringing it back. It's business. And the coaches all over it have never contributed. Yeah. Nobody gonna expose someone they are part of the system because they don't want to get blackballed. This man is unblackballable. As long as you got an 80 that's willing to hire him, he don't need the accolades and permission of the other coaches. He don't need nobody to co-sign him. When you are part of the system, you can get blackballed. So nobody gonna expose something they're a part of because that's the same system they depend on helping them make. They need that system because they don't have a name and a brand. They need somebody else on their resume or to sign off on it. It's even look, I'm gonna tell y'all something. I'm glad y'all here. I'm glad people understand what I'm saying. Yeah, he didn't have time to do nothing. He didn't have no time to do that. He didn't have time. They made him. See, people don't know. They made him bring Sean Lewis because some people felt like some of the people wanted Sean Lewis to be the head coach. From possibly, I think he might have been interviewing. So these people they had, even with Charles Kelly, he had to bring them people on to look good and name, but the chemistry wasn't there. And when the chemistry not there at the top, the chemistry not there at the bottom. See, you wonder why the players don't have chemistry. The coaches didn't have chemistry. They just was, skinning and grinning and with that energy. I don't really agree. It don't matter if you agree. See, you got to have some called a ride or die to be successful in anything dangerous, whether it's war, sports, because I can't have a dude next to me who I know ain't really with me. And I don't even know if he really gonna do that thing. Why we got to question that they blocked for Shador? Why do we got to do it? Because they made it blatant multiple times, multiple games. Ole. So it's like, why do a man got to be at war and look at the man next to him wondering, are you really trying to get me messed up? That should never be a thought. This should never be a thought. But you doing some weird stuff. You saying some weird stuff. Then you leave and you expose all doubt. I was right the whole time. When you got a team that everybody's locking arms, they don't respect none of us. They don't respect our coach. Everybody got this underdog mentality. That's a dangerous team. Colorado is a dangerous team, y'all. You ain't got to worry about them taking nobody for granted because everybody taking them for granted. I don't expect the cheating to stop. And that's why people, yeah, a Pac-12. It wasn't a Pac-12 thing. It wasn't just Pac-12 coaches combining to beat him. Keyshawn Johnson said from all over the country was doing it to help them boys lose. Way in the beginning. And he said it worked. Schematically, they schemed up Colorado. Referees got in on it. It was ugly. It's on steroids. This is the perfect time, like the song say. I haven't seen the comments yet. I've seen the video, somebody. This guy keep making comments. They're going to beat doggone Colorado State so bad this year. It's going to be sad. They're going to beat them like North Dakota. Watch. Watch what I tell you. They're going to beat the mess out of them at their home. They took touchdowns. They gave touchdowns. They gave other teams touchdowns. They gave them first downs. They gave them all of that to get them in that game to get these field goals. You got to understand, you lose by a field goal. They put the team in field goal position at the end of the game. Hey, it is what it is. I ain't here to talk about the whole make-believe. I'm not hiding from the fact. We're going to have to unite. That's what I'm all about. I got a guy who's looking to unite. He got a whole brand. We're going to be talking more about it. You're going to have to unite. I think they can dominate, but you got to be on the same page because as soon as adversity comes, you already divided. This is an easy divide. A lot of no calls, absolutely. Especially when it comes. I'm going to tell you why most of our no calls going to happen at. It happened last year, but it's really going to have to do it this year. They're going to have to hold our receivers. Our receivers are a lot bigger this year as a whole and faster. See, Xavier Weaver was the man last year, and they always had his shoulder pads hanging off right in front of the referee. Will Shepard, bigger. Cordell Russell, bigger. Timmons Jr., bigger. Amarion Miller, you see what he did? He just destroyed that. They same cornerback they say is at Alabama right now. So call him a wolf. Call him a slouch. The cornerback that I didn't need to research, but they said the cornerback that got dogged out by Amarion Miller last year couldn't do nothing with him. He just did what he wanted. Well, they say he at Alabama right now. So you call it what you want. Say Amarion Miller is whatever. Say it. They're gonna have to complain. The narrative is gonna change. The goalpost is gonna change. It's got to. They did nothing but change the goalpost. We've seen what happened at Jackson State. I always bring it up. We've seen how that goalpost get moved week to week. I bet you won't win this week. Bet you won't win this week. Until you finally lose. If it's one game. Jimmy Horn has been playing hurt, with hamstring because he kept coming back. One thing about a groin and a hamstring and stuff like that, if you take 2-3 weeks off, you think gonna come back out there, you can easily re-injure that hamstring. Sometimes the hamstring muscles and stuff like that can be worse than a break. Because at least when your break heal, you go forward. A hamstring can keep reactivating. But Weaver had to play because we didn't have the depth we have at this year receiver. We had some young guys, but not in his position. We didn't have as many people in his position. Travis Hunter ended up kind of playing that position in Utah, but because he can play anything. but we really didn't have much. Like we had because what is it, Jay Antonio? Because he didn't step up, it lowered our depth. So Mario Miller had to step in, but he still was a freshman going through his changes. He wasn't as consistent, and plus by the time he got in, Shadul was getting sacked a lot more. It said that he was open, he just couldn't get in the ball. Matter of fact, that goes for most of our receivers. I'm sure Jimmy Horn will tell you, sure Travis will tell you, if they have a block, they was open. It's not like they was getting locked up. Shadul was getting locked up. The line was twerking and letting them get locked up. But we can't say the lack of production went away for Mario Miller because he wasn't getting open. It could have been just as well as that he wasn't able to get in the ball. From what I hear, that's the case. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I mean, yeah, I mean, that happens after the fact, especially as they record, you know. But think about last year, the back end of CU season, they couldn't say that because everybody they played was ranked. And everybody was pretty much in a winning record, except Washington State, who ended up beating them just as bad as Oregon, which is weird. But Washington State kind of started off, they kind of was identical to CU. They were either hot or cold. Plus, CU had a lot of issues. That was that game everybody supposedly had the flu. Yeah, I don't know if y'all remember that Washington State game where everybody was supposedly sick before that game. And then it happened again. They said Xavier Weaver was sick and Travis was sick for Utah. They had some kind of illness going through there. But Travis played. They say he didn't practice that. I'll warm up barely. And he scored about 3 touchdowns. But they say Xavier Weaver was sick. So, and plus he already had shoulder injury too. So they had a sickness going through. They said a lot of kids didn't even make that trip to that Washington State. See, there's a lot of stuff people don't talk about. That Washington State game, they had a lot of chaos going on. And they say it went up there, it was raining and cold, and in the middle of nowhere. And Shador was already hurt. Like I said, UCLA, he played a couple more games. He didn't even make it through that game. So the line was already twerking. So of course they were gonna get beat because all the time, that they played. Yeah, Coach Prime was even sick. Everybody was sick that week. So, that game that was all over the place. The field position was jacked up. They even let a kickoff get returned. Players were sick. Some of them probably played sick. Had to adjust everything around for the players who was sick. And Shador got hurt. It was just a chaotic mess. There was a lot going on other than just them getting beat. It just was a bad situation. Yeah, they was opening and film, Yeah, he kept getting hurt. Yeah, I guess you're talking about Jimmy. Yeah, they got a lot of weapons, and they got the line to make sure that they get to the weapons. But Jalen Antonio, I always get his name messed up. He kept getting hurt in the beginning of the season, shoulder injury, this, that. He never really got his momentum. I don't know. I don't know if the commissioner gonna have anything to do with that. I don't know. I don't know who in on it. You don't know who to trust. But I do know that when we talk about Antonio, he from the beginning. I mean, I think from Nebraska, he just was hurt. He didn't play Nebraska. USC, Mario Miller had to come in, and he just messed up. I mean, if we had another strong receiver, I don't know if that would have helped far as the line because they were open to just want to get the ball, but that would have helped take some of that off of Weaver. But I think the biggest difference was the line. They went from Nebraska probably gave Colorado a harder time if they knew what they were dealing with. See, TCU didn't know what they were dealing with. Nebraska knew what they were dealing with. Same thing this year because you got to look at the fact Nebraska was dropping 8, bringing 3. But everybody from that point on, once they shared enough film, like Keyshawn said, everybody else started loading the box and blitzing. Because they said, why let Shador sit in the pocket? He's going to carve it like a butter knife. We can't do nothing with him. We'll go Brady mode every game. Or we can get pressure on him, and that's the only way we're going to stop him. So how do you stop Colorado? That's what they tried to do at Jackson State. They just had a better line. But the whole scheme was the only way you stop Shador is get pressure on him. And that don't necessarily stop him. That's the best way you can stop him. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I don't know who check out my content, but it's an amazing thing when you do stuff like this. You know, you get messages. Sometimes you can see people in public. You be like, hey, I didn't know, you know, especially locally. But you got to think about this. The only way you can beat Colorado, and I'm not giving away no secret, the only way you're going to beat Colorado is if you sack Shedeur. A lot. That defines the whole last season. Teams barely beat Colorado. The man had over 50 sacks. Teams barely beat Colorado. And at least around about 80, 82, 83% of the passes that man attempted to throw, he was either hit or hurried. Somewhere in there. It means like 20% of what he did was without hurry or without him getting hit. This man was either getting hit while he was throwing the ball or after he threw the ball. A lot of times, personal foul wasn't called. They flop on top of him on purpose. They stick their hand in the face, man. Then he stick his hand back in. And they say, oh, he's trying to poke him out. They doing all kinds of stuff to this man while he on the ground. And his linemen sitting there watching. The same ones who let the guy run right by him. And they sitting there watching him get off the ground by himself, watch the guys pounce on top of him, flop on top of him. That's what happened to him. There's no way in the world. I'm going to tell you right now, we need depth. Because I bet you Khalil Benson haul off and knock somebody's head off. And that's what you better be worried about. I have a conversation. They're going to try to bait Khalil Benson. But Tyler Brown will knock their head off too. Matter of fact, I don't know nobody in that line who wouldn't knock that man's head off if they do that this year. And that's why we got enough depth. So somebody get put out. We got Flapjack over there. We got Yo-Yo over there ready to block, looking good. We got even Harden to come from last year. Even he looking decent. We got depth. Tyler Johnson. We got what we need over there because somebody gonna have to hit. Hey, they're gonna try to bait, especially Colorado State, because they have no business being on the field with you. Colorado State had, as a matter of fact, North Dakota got better chance than Colorado State. Colorado State got away with all kinds of cheap shots, not just on Travis, the whole game, and they weren't calling no penalties. In the line, you know, that's what they got away with. Yeah, the defense was sus. Yeah, this, that, and that. But all that cheap stuff, they ain't get no penalties called on. Who gets to just belly up all game and just no consequence? Utah, K-State, yeah. How we play again. Yeah, because, and I was looking at the schedule. I actually want to get out there to K-State. And, you know, the thing about it, UCF is a couple weeks before that. If Colorado goes all the way through, handle business in Central Florida, Orlando, and then they come in undefeated, what, it'll be about 6-0, that's going to be one of the biggest talk games, primetime games, K-State, because that's going to be, everybody going to say, this is going to be like their Oregon, their first test in the conference, if they go through UCF. If they challenge with UCF, they're going to say, this is their first challenge. They're going to always push the goalpost. Well, UCF just got here. You know, UCF just got there. You know, they're not proven. But K-State and the Dylan Edwards thing, that's going to be the game. That's going to be the Oregon, depending on how they're moving through these first games. All you need is like 2 seconds. Yeah, I mean, time in the pocket without, you know, get off your back every play. That'll be the difference. Some other players more. Yeah, I mean, I think they could have, but it don't solve their line. Their line had no depth, and they was getting injured at some point. Well, if that's the case, somebody gonna pay for them too, I guess. They career old, because I mean, who gonna take you out the portal? They can go pro. Yeah, I mean, them winning is in their hands. I don't know what respect got to do with anything. I said what I said. Who said anything about respect? You go tell them about respect. They need to let you on respect. They need respect. Me saying you gonna get your butt beat, what they gotta do with respect? They need to go beat they behind from what they did last year, and they don't belong on the field with them. They don't. They don't have nothing to do with respect. In fact, I don't owe them any respect, really. They certainly don't have no respect. You give them the respect. They don't have no respect. They ain't earned no respect. They don't give no respect. And then it's a rival game. Go in and beat the brakes off of them, like I said. Beat them bad and beat them fast. Beat them bad and beat them fast. That's what you need to do with that CSU. That's a statement game. Because, see, they made them a statement game last year. You need to return them the favor. You need to return them the favor. They're going to be rah, rah, rah. It's a rival game, and you're going to be at their home. You need to return them the favor and beat the mess out of them and make a point. It's a statement game. Because last year, they made a statement. They come in and knocked your doggone number one player out the game and got away with it. The man didn't get ejected out the game or nothing. They tried to knock your quarterback out the game. What respect you going to get other than me beat the brakes off of you at your home? That's what you're going to get. That's what they deserve. Nothing less. You're not gonna get them respect, but you sure gonna take the respect that they took from you, because they showed and respect you. They didn't come in with no integrity. They head coach, his wife ain't gave you no respect since. So they got a lot on the line. North Dakota, you need to treat them like who they are. They don't belong on the field with you. Show them fast and in a hurry, and let everybody know don't come playing with us. Because you think North Dakota win in Georgia, everybody be talking like that. So you want to see yourself as one of the best, you got to make people respect you as one of the best. You know. What sense you make, man? Nobody said anything about overlooking anybody. If we were overlooking them, we wouldn't be talking about them. Overlooking means you're not talking about them. I think we know the definition of overlooking. And respect and overlooking is two different things. Overlooking the team is not mentioning them and talking about everybody else as if that's an automatic win. Me saying going to beat they behind is that as clearly you're talking about them. That's not overlooking them. You see? You're gonna have to show them run. You're in a conference with a run game. You're in a conference where the run game is like, I'm gonna give you an example. Oklahoma State, they can't win without their run game. The stats show that when their running back, who's the big dog in the conference in the country, when he doesn't play well, when he doesn't produce, hurt or whatever, they don't win. So a team like that, what they're telling you is we're gonna run the ball and we feel like you can't stop our run. That's what most of those teams in the conference gonna say. That's what Kansas State gonna say. That's what Kansas pretty much gonna say. For the most part, most of the teams they're gonna play, even North Dakota gonna try to say that. That's all they. I know they don't think they're gonna throw the ball. The quarterback ain't really like that. Nebraska, they got a young quarterback. He got to prove what he can do, but they feel like they gonna overpower you up front. That's the mistake they made last year. They see some teams banking on overpowering you in the trenches. They keep talking about how small your line is. You don't have no depth. You can't go toe to toe, and that's what their arrogance is. Their mindset is we gonna run through you. You ain't gonna stop us, and we ain't gonna do nothing different until you stop us. That's the attitude that most of these teams are gonna have in this conference. They're not really. Pac-12, I've talked about this. Pac-12 is a conference that had two quarterbacks in the finals of the Heisman. Two from one conference. You also had the number one quarterback who won, who was a finalist the year before in the same conference. That's 3 top quarterbacks that win NFL. Top, not trickled in. Top. The top quarterbacks drafted came out of one conference. Then you had next year's top quarterbacks, Shador, Cam Ward, the little young guy in Arizona. He started, so he still got to see. He got to do something this year to prove what he able to do. But he did decent, right? Rising in play. Who else we had? Oregon State, not really. They were kind of flip-flopping around. So, for the most part, we had about at least 6 guys who were solid as quarterbacks in that conference. Not all right. They can put points on the board. They had a receiver who can do damage. All of them, at least one. This conference, not so much. That's why I was surprised with how they did there. All conference. They didn't put no Colorado player except Shador on their first team. But he's top, but he ain't got nobody he's gonna be stripping the ball to. That's weird. The other teams in the conference, they don't have no dominant pass game like that. They got to have a balanced attack at best. Versus Colorado is bringing a mentality, that Pac-12 mentality, where they just got speed at receivers and they got a dynamite quarterback. They the last breed of that Pac-12. So that's what makes Colorado dangerous. They can score a lot of points. Now, when you talk about running the ball, the only way you scoring a lot of points running that ball like that is if your defense just is like how Colorado was last year, just kind of. But I don't really remember Colorado getting ran all over last year because these guys were throwing the ball. We kept talking about Colorado can't stop the run. They couldn't stop the run because they couldn't stop the bleeding, but the teams wasn't scoring 3, 4, 5 touchdowns a game running the ball. They was tearing Colorado up on drag routes and stuff like that. And you know why they had to do that? Because they was going against a quarterback who could put up a lot of points. Now, if it take you an hour to, finesse down the field, and you say, that's how I beat Shador, you're a lie. That's a false theory, an unproven theory, because the only people who beat Shador last year was ones who put him on his back, not put him on the bench. Putting Shador on the bench is not going to help you. The other thing, he's going to be more well rested. And he less chances for him to be put on his back, which means he can take less hits. The only way you beat Shador is if you put him on his back. That's it. So you gotta say his line is gonna suck, or my line is gonna be way better. That's it. They're gonna have to have a dominant defensive line to beat Shador. And our offense line is gonna have to suck. The defense gonna look a lot different this year because there's no way we're gonna be playing 2 high safeties. They running the ball like that. So yeah, you bring Shiloh down in the box, it's gonna be a problem. I don't know, but we ain't got a little one. He said that's a bit much. We ain't got a little one. We ain't got the littlest line anymore like we had last year almost. Our line looked like we was FCS. But that's where they came from. So when you look at the fact that Colorado is a team that they're going to underestimate because too many people, too lazy, too childish. They just repeat what they hear, and they repeat a clown because a clown ain't did no research or he didn't lie. And you say, oh, they going to be just like last year. Oh, they don't have nobody. Oh, they don't this, they don't that. You got that going on. That's what makes Colorado dangerous. And that's why TCU got snuck up on. That's why everybody got snuck up on in the beginning, because you really didn't have no film on them like that. Now, you do have film on them, but not really. But you have more than you had last year. You at least know what Shador can do to you. See, they underestimated Shador. You at least know what Shador can do to you. You know what he's capable of. You know what Travis is capable of. The problem is all these other weaponry pieces, you won't really figure that out till a few games in. And it'll be back to what Colorado State Who's after Colorado State? Is it Cincinnati or Baylor? One of them right after that. That's about around the time where people can start figuring, okay, this is what we're really dealing with. And, the rankings will change and the betting odds will change because they're going to realize all that cute stuff over with. We actually don't see them play 3 games. We actually have seen them in action. We actually seen that defensive line go get 6, 7 sacks in the game. We actually seen the line blocking now. This is what we're really dealing with. Not our theories, not our guess and hopes and dreams. We actually know what we're dealing with. That's what is going to happen around Colorado State, maybe right after Colorado State. And everybody's going to reevaluate what they're looking at. That's what we're looking at. But I think right now, somehow people stuck in the past. They stuck in the past from last year. Appreciate the super chat. We got some marketing going here. 3-star Fellowship Christian. Y'all promoting, that's who you have a commitment. Jay Brown. Appreciate the super chat. 8-4 is a great team. 7-5 is the floor. 9 wins are better than Coach Prime. You said 7-5 is the floor. I would love to hear who you say will be those 5 teams in this conference. Who will be 5? If I'm saying, I know that's the floor was great. I don't like to do all that great mid-tier. I like to say, boom. I think they need to go 10-2. I heard one other content creator say that. I've been saying that since like January. I'm glad to hear other people say it. I think that them, with the type of talent they have, they got to shoot for the stars because this is a rep where you get the kind of talent. Even though other people don't recognize it, the type of talent they have, and they got a lot of young guys coming back, but the type of quarterback they have, the Travis Hunters, and when you put the pieces around them, and the type of conference they have, just the matchup, I don't really see them should lose more than 2. They lose more than 2, something wrong happened, as far as like injuries or just something crazy. I think the refs can manipulate, so that's why I give room for 2. I don't give you room making 5 losses with this talent. Last year was a 5-loss caliber team. That last year was a 5-loss caliber team. Think about that. Caliber team. Not what happened there. That was the type of talent they had. But when you look at this year, it's just not acceptable for them to lose 5 games. You name them. You name them. And do a real assessment of like what type of players they have on their team. How many players they have on the all conference team? How many players they got going to the NFL? Like, what's their production from last year? Like, look at the matchup. Like, what makes you think 5 out of these teams should beat them on their schedule? Like, who are those 5? People say Kansas State, Kansas, UCL, Utah, Arizona. Like, that's your 5? Like, and should they lose to all of them? And if they did lose to all of them, like, you lose to Kansas State and Kansas. Those are 2 different types of teams. You lose to UCL. You lose to Utah. You lose to Arizona. Now, Arizona is a team. I did a clear breakdown. Arizona is a team that beat them by a field goal at the last minute and was helped to get in field goal range. Go look at the game. That was Shadour's last full game played. He had to go in at halftime to get shot in his butt. Shadour wasn't even healthy. The line wasn't blocking. Yet, they only beat them in the last seconds of the game. It was 31-31. They got the field goal at the end. But everybody, Arizona, that ain't it. That ain't it, guys. It's going down. Like, look at the actual game. All these little stat watchers. Look at the actual game. You want to look at stats? Look at the actual points per quarter, how the game actually played out. At what point did the game shift? What happened to make the game shift? How did UCLA get the game to shift in the third quarter when it was head-to-head? Then they scored 14 in the fourth quarter after they ejected Charlo in the third quarter. But they was only scoring 6 points, 7 points. And one of the 6 points we gave to them right before halftime. You see? And they end up being Colorado by what, 12? Something like that. 10. A touchdown and field goal. Yeah, that's a big line. Run by a parent. We were hurt against the run by opponents rushing upside per game on average. We were hurt against the run by opponents rushing under 6 per game. Who you saying they rushed against us, or that's what they average? Who rushed 107 yards per game on Colorado? Rushing. Because from what I remember, it wasn't rushing that beat them. It was drag routes and quick slants. Stanford rushing then beat them. USC rushing then beat them. You see? They was throwing the ball. It was our secondary. Yeah, rushing, we couldn't stop the bleeding at times, but I think we did at times. When we hold teams to field goals and stuff in the red zone, we did at times, Lost the entire line. Okay. See, you don't win the versus game. They can go, they sure ain't winning. Okay. Says who? They sure ain't winning. Okay. We want to surely see you when it happens. The average across the schedule last year. That's really not a lot of rushing yards. You say average across the schedule that happened to CU. Yeah. Yeah. You're talking about last year's Oregon and last year's Texas Tech to determine what's going to happen to Colorado this year. Okay. So again, newsflash. The team that Colorado is returning this year is not last year's Colorado. Now, maybe your favorite team that you guys in here coming in talking Colorado, maybe your favorite team like Nebraska and all them who brags about returning all these players, maybe their team is going to be the same because they say we return 8 starters on the defense and 7 starters on offense. Maybe they're going to be the ones who do the same thing as last year with their same players. Colorado has new players, so I don't know what last year Texas Tech did to last year Oregon got to do with this year's Colorado and this year's Texas Tech. You're right. Maybe you know so much about Texas Tech. Maybe you know what they're returning. I don't know what they're returning, and I don't even know if it even matter what they're returning. I don't even know if it's even relevant as far as the matchup this year. 4 losses, you say Utah, K-State, O-State, and Kansas. And that's based off of what? That's based off of what? So 4 losses, that's what, 8-4 or whatever. You name Kansas. That's based off of what? What is Kansas going to do to beat Colorado? You say Oklahoma State. So you're saying both of these teams they running back gonna run 300 yards on because all Oklahoma State has is a running game. So you saying their running back is going to score. Our defense is going to sit back, knowing that it's all they got, and let them run against Shadoze, against Barnes. They just gonna just leave. They just gonna wipe Shadoze out of there. He just gonna run all through there like he ain't even there. Even though that ain't happened against Texas or anybody he played against. We just Shadoze and Big Barnes. They just gonna just wipe them out like they did our line last year, and they just gonna run all over. And our linebackers just gonna suck. Just Hill Green, former Michigan linebacker, experienced guy, chainsaw. They just gonna just run into the same hole. Like how do these teams win? They don't have no passing game. Not really. They're run-oriented. K-State is a run-oriented. I know that much for all the experts and everything. I do know that much about them. I do know that much. They are run-oriented teams. Utah, you're basing that off of what? You haven't even acknowledged that Utah stole the game last year. But that was okay. Utah quarterback who's been injured, he has to come back and prove that he's going to play. But everybody give him all the respect. This man coming off ACL, Most people don't even really return off of ACL that good, especially somebody keep getting hurt. This man got to come back and prove himself, and y'all act like he is returning starter. He ain't played last year. So how does Utah get so much respect? The last Utah I seen got their butt handed to him. The referee had to take 3 points off the board, 3 touchdowns off the board from Colorado. That's the last Utah I seen. Backup, we had backups. I don't have much respect for Utah like that. So I got to really know what are they going to do. What are they going to do? They're going to all run the ball. You're basically saying they're going to run the ball because ain't nobody on that list really going to be throwing the ball. Outside of Rising may throw the ball. Don't have a system. They're just playing out. But don't have a system. They're just playing out of. I don't get what that means. I mean, they're going to hit. They had a lot of transfer. They made a playoff team. They had a lot of player transfer. You name them. We just seen for the last few years in a row, teams had a lot of transfer. What are you talking about? When TCU went, did they not have a lot of transfers? Matter of fact, a lot of these teams in the last few years they had a lot of transfers. Well, did Washington build their organization from the ground up? Had they not had a lot of transfers over the last couple of years? When they went last year out of nowhere? What do you mean? Did you research for that question? I mean, the portal is live and active in this day and time. That's nothing unique to Colorado. They've been doing this portal thing. It's just a little more wild now, less barriers. But most of these teams, outside of these built teams like a Clemson and teams that get 5 stars that's willing to sit on the bench for 3-4 years, outside of them, most of these teams have been building their teams on the portal. Did not Tulane do it not too long ago? I mean, it sounds good when you want to make about Colorado as if nobody else has built a team on the portal. That's a lie. How do you even say that? It's just throwing that out there in the wind. The reality is you do your research. A lot of these teams, even this year, had put a lot of teams. Colorado wasn't the only team in the portal. Did not Ole Miss get a lot of portal activity? I mean, what are you talking about? And they expect Ole Miss to do well this year. Matter of fact, Ole Miss took one of our running backs. How long is it be in the current transfer system? I don't know. I don't know what that means. You know, but this transfer thing has been going on this year. Yeah, exactly. This guy we don't know what he's gonna do. He better stay healthy. And he think he's gonna be doing all that running because that's a big part of his game. A big part of his game. Yeah, clearly. Same situation. I'm not here to talk to you about situations. I'm talking about you here to talk about situations of football. We're talking about pieces that they brought to their team that has production, that has proven production. And you're talking about a situation. I need to work on the pass more. Even the head coach says they're illegal. Yeah, it's a lot going on. Yeah, time will tell, but you got to be logical. You know, of course they had. But a hypocrite only gonna talk about one team, and it's simple. Just simply looking at it, they put it out there. They put it out there this year. That Coach Prime wasn't even a number 1 portal team. He was up there. I mean, all these other teams, but you ignore that and try to make that like that's his flaw. All these teams have been before the portal. They always use JUCO and all that to fill in gaps. Nobody just gonna lean on freshmen. And the more that is available, and they expanding the scholarships and then all that, and they playing with this whole, this walk-on situation, preferred walk-on. The more they play with that stuff, you got to look at it. The more they play with it, the more that this is going to be the thing. But the reality is, he used it for exactly what he said he's going to use it for. He used it for his trenches to get bigger. And see, I only call it a clown because you sit around and you dog out the line from last year saying they were small, they were undersized, they didn't come from right, pedigree. And then you replace all of them. Well, you got all new line. You think, clown? You think? Did he not say he was going to do that? Did you not dog his line out? Do you think he's gonna bring the same line back? Then you turn around and say, well, that's all they got, a whole new line. Duh. That's what's supposed to happen. That's what he said he was gonna do. He said he's gonna get rid of the line. He did it. Then if he didn't, you'd be talking dumb about that. Like, oh, he kept saying line, do the same thing. So, he's not your team who's gonna return all the same players and expect something different. That's insanity. To do the same thing, expect different results. Literally the same thing is to have the same thing, not the same situation. What are we talking? We're talking about football. We're talking about having the same pieces, the same attitudes, the same mindsets, the same people. If you don't comprehend that and expect a different result, that would be insanity. But to not expect this man to clean that out, if it ain't working, he got to clean it out. He had to fix what he had to fix. Clearly, if you O-line, letting the quarterback get, who just so happened to be his son, and you stepping aside and you let the man just get hit up beside the back of his head, play after play after play, who do you want back? Who do you want back? You sit down on, I said, both sides of the ball. You watching the line facing each other, playing patty cake, letting the man run by, waving at him multiple times in the game. And you only lose by, well, you're losing by 10 that UCLA game. But they scored 14 points in the fourth quarter. So when you think about it, that was their ultimate issue. Everybody talked about it, so don't get brand new now. Don't get brand new now. We talked about it. The people who really watch football, they talked about it from the beginning. We let it play out. It became an issue, especially with depth. We know where the issue lied last year. To get brand new, get amnesia now. You know exactly what that man pointed out. It's one group that he pointed out. It's one group that he pointed out in the conference that he said he shouldn't have pointed out in the press conference. It's one group. They did not do their job, and he pointed it out. And he said, I'm going to deal with it, and he dealt with it. Now you want to act all surprised and make it a negative that he dealt with exactly who he said he was going to deal with, who everybody in the country pointed out was an issue. You got film, you got pictures, we got everything showing they ain't doing their job. You got stats, you got sacks, you got this, you got that. That's your biggest issue. Your production on offense went all the way down. Your production went all the way down. It's a simple look at, you can do, even the most basic non-football mind can look at it and say, okay, the production went down on the offensive side halfway through the season. You can look at the sacks. You can look at all of that to know where the problem happened at. That's the biggest issue that was pointed out. That's not the only issue, but that was the biggest issue because your offensive production went down. Defensive production was decent towards the end. It wasn't what it needed to be, but it got better. It was some kind of curve. Offense went straight down. So when we look at it, we know where the challenges lie. It's not a secret. And he made those corrections. So don't act like you're brand new. The biggest changes happened. The biggest, most production, most the resources, the scholarships was put right there. You ain't gonna have no depth issue there. And look at him in high school. He got the high school kids. Where he go straight at? Big boys. He said it. He already got plenty of talent on the outside. And then he put on the defensive side right behind that. Boom. You ain't gonna just be pushing our line around and making these highway 285 lanes through there. High 20. You're not gonna be doing that because these boys ain't that kind of lightweight. So he made corrections. Don't act surprised that he put about 20 plus scholarships in that alone. Don't act surprised. He said he was gonna do it. And while you're talking, these very same kids, 90% of them coming back next year. So if you're gonna be a genius, be a real one. Don't be, because you ain't dealing with little empty talking points here. These guys, most of them linemen that he went and recruited, 90% of them can come back next year. On both sides of the ball. So your dumb theory about situations and all that, when you really look at it, it's not, because it's not full of grad players is not full of seniors. Look at look at the roster. Most of these kids coming back next year. Some of them graduate, but most of these guys coming back next year. Most of that offensive line coming back next year. They can. I mean, even Tyler Brown can come back. He might not. He can come back. Benson can come back. We know Hank, this is second year. We know Jordan Seaton, this is first year. You see what I'm saying? So in these pieces we bringing in, let them get graduate, the Kirklands, the Flapjacks, Yo-Yo, you know, then we see these young guys that we're bringing in from high school that's committed. These are pieces for the long haul. So we're going to see what you're going to say about what he got to do every year. Because all these pieces he got, they can come back next year. They ain't one and done. They ain't here for 6 months and gone. You know. Don't delete yourself. You say, mark this guy. He be on everybody's thing. So when he go into hiding, he go to witness protection. He think we hiding. We here. You on our platform. So we be looking for you. So don't delete you. All right. Y'all see him. Everybody should know you knew one of the new pieces with a letter for and fake name. Probably not even a real person, but you remember you. All right. We'll put a real picture up there. Real people. We deal with real people, not real names, literally. All right. Real people. Weapons. Yep. Gone. Weaver gone. Jordan Dominique, like I said, he was the biggest production that we had. If we had one more Jordan Dominique, it would have been different. We brought in at least 3 Jordan Dominiques this year, at least 3, and that ain't including McCoy who coming back. That's not including Walker coming back. We got some young guys. We had McNeil come back. We have some guys who can get out the quarterback. Young guys coming back, but we only had 1 Jordan Dominique last year, so that should tell you a lot. We ain't gotta say anymore. I'm gonna let y'all guys go. I appreciate y'all coming through. I'm gonna go get something to eat or something. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. This thing heating up. It's heating up outside. It's heating up. We're gonna start talking a little more about specifics once we get closer to these games. We're gonna start talking about doing some virtuals, some whatever, some lives, some games. We'll have a good time. You know, we're gonna have a good time. So make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. Don't miss anything. Conversation only heating up. Appreciate y'all coming through. And on that note, let me see if I'm gonna leave a message for our sponsor. Will I do that today? Probably not. Appreciate y'all coming through.